South African youth are full of potential, energy, and ambition. But something holds so many of us back. Why are the odds stacked against us? Why do so many young people fail to reach their goals or even get close? Today, I want to explore the complex web of challenges and, more importantly, what we can do about it. In South Africa, youth face tremendous barriers with high unemployment, limited educational support, and systematic inequality, reinforcing a cycle of poverty that's hard to fucking break. Imagine being told your whole life to work hard, get educated, and make something of yourself, only to find that despite your efforts, your opportunities just aren't there. South Africa has one of the highest youth unemployment rates globally, with over 66% of those aged 15 to 24 unable to find work. This isn't just a statistic, it's a daily reality that affects nearly every part of life, from financial dependence to mental health. I go to college, so let me give you a scenario I see all the damn time. A young woman from a rural area graduates at the top of her class, but with no resources, no connections, or support systems, she finds herself working an unrelated low-paying job just to survive. Despite her dreams, she's forced to settle for less. These are the stories of many South African youths, bright and driven but stuck in a system where their potential can't fully shine. Economic challenges in South Africa create a chain reaction that severely limits opportunities for youth. The youth unemployment rate at around 66% for ages 15 to 24, one of the highest in the world. Young people face incredible obstacles when trying to gain independence, plan for their future, and support their families. High unemployment is driven by a stagnant economy, which leaves a few positions available even for qualified young adults, while income inequality means that resources are concentrated in a few communities, leaving most people without the means to develop their own potential. In lower income areas, where economic strain is the highest, access to quality education and resources is limited. Schools in these areas lack the funding for technology, books, qualified teachers, which means students start at a disadvantage and often graduate without the skills or connections that lead to higher education or unemployment. You know what I mean? Extracurricular activities, which can provide vital skills, confidence, and networking, are also minimal or non-existent in these communities. This shortage of resources makes it incredibly difficult for youth to break out of a cycle of poverty, because they struggle to compete with peers from better resource backgrounds who have access to private tutoring, extracurriculars, and better school facilities. In light of these economic constraints, many South African youth may feel trapped by a system that seems rigged against them. Despite their hard work and aspirations, the barriers are often too high to overcome alone. Imagine this. You've been told your entire life to work hard and make something of yourself, but every step forward feels like pushing against the wall. Have you ever felt like no matter what you do, the system just won't allow you to break through? This feeling is the reality for countless young people in South Africa today, caught in an economic structure that restricts their growth and limits their potential. And who can forget about the South African education system, speaking of limiting potential? The system that faces deep-rooted issues that start with an underfunding and stretch all the way to classroom experience itself. Overcrowded classrooms, outdated curricula, scarce resources that make it difficult for the students to get quality education, especially in lower income communities. Many public schools lack basic necessities like textbooks, reliable technology, and even enough teachers, forcing students to learn in environments that aren't conducive, and they end up not achieving their potential. Underfunding is a major factor here that leads to major resource constraints and make many public schools crippled. Schools struggle to maintain safe buildings here, hire enough quality teachers, and provide up-to-date materials. This situation leaves students in poorer areas particularly disadvantaged, as they are often stuck in crumbling classrooms with outdated textbooks and limited opportunities for engaging practical learning. In contrast, though, private schools in wealthier communities have the resources to provide a better rounded education with smaller class sizes, modern facilities, and a curriculum designed to prepare students for success in a competitive world. You know, even a blind man can see the inequality between the under-resourced public schools and well-funded private institutions. In many ways, students from disadvantaged backgrounds face ongoing challenges. Alright, while their wealthier counterparts have access to the tools and support they need for a brighter future. Tell me where the equality is there. I've heard countless stories from my friends that felt that their school experience left them unprepared for the realities of life and work. Many people go through school feeling like they learned shit for their future. They haven't learned any skills. So here's a question for all of you. Does anyone here feel like they're not learning what they actually need for the future? This reason is one of the many reasons people talk up. Like this, what I'm about to say is one of the many things people don't talk about. And it's one of the many things that's leading people astray. Youth in general. It's pop culture and social media. This image of success often leading young people to measure themselves against impossible standards. You have all these influencers and celebrities showcasing the highlights of their lives. The luxurious vacations, designer clothes, seemingly endless achievements, while rarely showing their struggles, setbacks, or sacrifices behind them. And then that creates a false picture that makes success feel instantaneous and effortless, which pressures the young viewers to feel like they already should be achieving similar things. In reality, success often involves years of hard work, trial and error, which is rarely shown on social media. Believe me, tell me how long it took to reach over 200 subscribers. This unrealistic portrayal of mental health, this unrealistic portrayal brings many mental health challenges to South African youth. It brings levels of anxiety and depression, partly due to academic and financial pressures, but it's also intensified by the pressures of social media. Constantly feeling the need to look or act successful online, even when life is tough, adds immense strain. And often there is little or no support to help cope with these mental health challenges. And that leaves young people to handle the pressure on their own. Research shows that mental health issues are indeed on the rise among South African young people, South African youth, exacerbated by financial and academic stress. And according to recent findings, many young people are struggling with severe anxiety and depression, with limited access to mental health resources to help manage that pressure. So let me ask you, have you ever felt pressured to look or act successful online, even when things were tough in real life? Because that's a reality many youth face today, a reflection of the gap between image, social media, and the struggles they navigate through daily. And in South Africa, there is a growing disconnection between degrees and diplomas students earn and the skills they actually need in the job market. Many young graduates emerge from school only to find that the qualifications they worked so hard for don't even align with their available jobs. Industries increasingly seek for specialized technical skills, but universities and colleges often emphasize theoretical knowledge over practical skills that directly prepare students for employment. What? They want skills, they're teaching us theory at school, long story short. You're qualified on paper, but you're not seen as job ready by employers. And this gap is worsened by the so-called experience paradox, where employers want to hire young people with experience without a chance to gain that fucking experience, and then they're going to be stuck in this frustrating loop of being ineligible for the very jobs that could help them grow. Many youth end up taking internships or underpaid jobs just to get a foot in the door. But even those opportunities can be limited, especially in industries with high competition or limited entry-level positions. Starting a business might seem like an alternative for those struggling to find employment, But let me tell you something, entrepreneurship comes with its own set of challenges, hey? Young entrepreneurs like me face limited access to funding, a lack of mentorship, and actual red tape that actually make it difficult to get the business off ground. Okay, don't get me wrong, it can provide jobs and solutions for your communities, right? But there's little structural support for aspiring young business owners, which actually makes the path more difficult than it's supposed to be. So here's a question for all of you. How many of you have felt the frustration of applying for jobs only to be told you need more experience? For many young people, this experience gap and a failed education system that's out of sync with industry needs makes entering the workforce feel like an impossible puzzle. And another one is crime. Don't get me started on crime. South Africa's youth, both directly and indirectly, is having their lives shaped by crime because it's increasing so much. Growing up in areas where crime is prevalent exposes many young people to violence and dangerous environments, which can lead to feelings of insecurity and fear. For some, crime becomes a constant pressure that affects their daily lives, whether through the threat of violence or the emotional toll it takes on their communities and families. This exposure, especially without support systems in place, can make it challenging for young people to focus on education or their career goals, because it traps them in an environment where survival feels more urgent than long-term planning. Peer pressure and gang influence adds further complications. In communities where resources are limited and opportunities for personal growth are scarce, young people may feel tempted to join gangs or engage in criminal activities simply to find a sense of belonging, safety, or purpose. The lack of positive role models and guidance often means that for some youth, crime seems like the only viable path. Gangs can offer protection, income, and a place to fit in, but they also lead young people to cycles of violence and conflict that are difficult to escape. This is closely linked to poverty, which acts as a root cause, and when families struggle to meet their basic needs, crime can appear to be the last resort, can't it? And the desperate need for that financial support can drive a young person towards activities that promise quick income, even if they come with risks. And unfortunately, once involved in crime, youth are often pulled further into cycles that are incredibly hard to break. Criminal records, lack of a formal job, opportunities, and a social stigma make it difficult to return to a stable path. And that traps them in poverty and crime indefinitely, like they're there forever. So let me ask you this. Do you think crime is a choice? Or it's like a last resort? What do you think? Many young people face this question every day. Between harsh economic realities and limited opportunities, because they're trying to find a way out in a world that doesn't always offer one. Our youth faces political challenges. It makes it hard to even believe in the current leadership of this country because corruption is a significant factor here. To public services that are supposed to support young people's progress, they're the ones taking all the money. When funds meant for youth programs, schools, and job initiatives are mismanaged or stolen, it indirectly affects opportunities for young people, especially those who rely on public resources to build their futures. Examples of corruption are widespread, with high-profile cases illustrating just how deeply this issue runs. Billions of rands are often reported lost or embezzled, and the ripple effect is felt in underfunded schools, poor infrastructure, and a lack of employment programs that could otherwise help lift youth out of poverty. For many, the promises made during elections feel empty when these issues persist, leading to a deep disillusionment with the system. So let's get real. Do you feel represented by our leaders? Or do you think they're too disconnected from the real struggles we actually fucking face? Because let's not forget, there's societal and family expectations. Growing up, we are faced with the weight of our parents' hopes and the expectations set by culture. Sometimes this pressure is so strong that we put our own dreams on hold to meet those demands. It's tough when the things we're passionate about don't align with what others expect of us. Because we want to pursue our dreams, but we have to honor cultural traditions and all that stuff. All that shit. So, because we want to make our families proud. And at the same time, we also want to create our own paths and explore new possibilities. In my experience, societal expectations often shape the way we view success, sometimes clouding our judgment. We may even sacrifice our desires for the sake of fitting into what's acceptable, but in the long run, it's important to find a balance that works for you. How much do you think family expectations influence the path you take in life? Please share your thoughts because I'd love to actually know how others deal with this. Mental health services need to be accessible to young people in these situations, especially in schools where they spend a significant portion of their lives. Providing a support for mental well-being should be just as important as academic achievements. Because let's face it, helping students navigate pressures they face every day helps big time. Our education system should evolve to meet the demands of the modern job market. By modernizing curricula to focus on practical, real-world skills like entrepreneurship, technology, and critical thinking, we can better equip young people for success. And tell me if I'm telling lies. We need to create more opportunities for young entrepreneurs by providing funding, training, and mentorship. Pursue their passions. Help them pursue their passions. That's the key to them unlocking their innovation and economic growth. Let's make them commit to transparency and accountability. The government as well should do this. Aim at supporting the future, the youth. Funds must be allocated for youth development and must be used effectively. And programs must be delivering real value to young people instead of looking for another reason to take money away from them. So let's create or join community networks that provide support and share knowledge and uplift one another in general. I was actually planning on starting a Discord channel for us to be more connected, communities, share issues, share ideas with each other, so that we can create a better foundation for a better future. And tell me what you think. Should I create it? Tell me what you think in the comment section below. It's time for an end to these outdated systems, and let's overcome these challenges that lie within us and outside. Look at the challenges around you. There's always a way to break the cycle, and you know it and I know it. It may not look like it right now because of the fucking corruption all over us, but we need to find a way to move forward because we have the ability to change the narrative and make a lasting impact. So if you're tired of being told you can't, and if you're ready to break free from the cycle, subscribe and let's talk about what needs to change. Drop a comment below, share your experiences and ideas for a change. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and join the Jinxverse, because together we can do more than just survive. We can thrive. So yeah, just what I wanted to talk to you guys about. And don't forget to subscribe and join the Jinxverse once again. Goodbye.